Shooter ready. Shooter ready. Stand by. Reload. Shooter ready. Stand by. Threat.
Chest. Circle.
Fire.
Is the shooter ready? Stand by.
We went from a really loose car in qualifying to having some pretty good speed, but we were honestly really, really good. Definitely a top 5 car. The 97 was handling really well. I'm hoping for a really good run. I feel like we have a car that can run up funnel today, and if we just continue to make the right adjustments and make the right moves, I think we'll have a good shot of ending up up front.
Hey Sam, can you hear me okay?
There we go. Hey guys.
All right. Looks like we're good here.
So I'm going to put the headphones on. It probably make it easier to hear everybody.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, there we go. That's what happens when you're doing stuff live, I guess. You always get some surprises. So here we are. We're back again. We're doing the second time, so we're still working out some of the bugs. We're doing a live stream here, so we can help answer some of the questions that we get, I guess, during the week, right, Sam? It's not just during the week, but it's also probably during the regular customer calls we've had for several months at this point, for several years. We just want to touch on some of the most popular questions.
Sure. Yeah. You're right. It's just typical questions we normally get, and then some of them might be ones from the last week just because they're fresh in our brains. But
Okay. Good deal. What I wanted to do, and as we were running some of those promo videos, what I wanted to do was show one of the organizations we're also helping support. And this is kind of impromptu. I was just going to show it up here. I'm going to share my screen. It was Scholastic Action Shooting. I don't know if some of you folks have ever heard about them, but we work with them from time to time with regards to some of the programs that they do. In fact, if people go to our store and they actually purchase some of the items on our store using their discount code of SASP545, they'll actually get a 10% discount. And some of the proceeds of that sale go back to help out the National Scholastic Action Shooting Program. So that's something I just wanted to throw out there for some folks who are involved with that. It's always a good organization that they help young folks get into competitive shooting sports, and it helps them actually learn competitive skills under the coaching of former military, law enforcement officers, people in the community, but also teaches them a competitive environment and how to do it healthily. Because not everybody does football, basketball, or the ball sports. I don't know, Sam, you played baseball in high school, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. I was a band geek, and producer Kathy was a band geek as well. But not everybody gets to do those things. So what Scholastic Action Shooting Sports does is it also provides an opportunity for folks who don't do the ball sports to actually have a competitive sport at the high school, and even I think starting from 6 years old all the way up to the collegiate level, they actually have a way to compete. So that's something I just wanted to mention out there: the Scholastic Action Shooting Program. So, do you want to anything you want to cover this week right off the top of the bat, or do you want to hit the first question?
Well, I'm good either way.
Okay, go ahead and hit off with that first one. I think producer Kathy's already throwing something up on the screen here. What would you say to that question there, Sam? What do I
Yeah.
need to run your software?
Yeah. So yeah, every once in a while we do get customers that run across our stuff and they just aren't sure. And sometimes it's hard to answer when you get asked that question. Well, what do I need? Because a lot of times I'd heard one of the creators of the software mention it one time. He said sometimes when people ask us what do I need, it's kind of like going into a grocery store and asking a clerk, what do you need to buy for groceries? Because they don't know what's in your pantry, just like I don't know what's sitting on your desk or what's in your pocket or what your needs are. But by and large, there's three things in general that you will always need for our software. You will need a device to run the software on, and by and large, most modern devices can handle it just fine. But if are saying coming at you with something that's a bit older, you might have some trouble with the software. So the first thing you want is something to run the software on. The next thing you would want is a laser, something that emits a laser as a shot, not a bore-sighted laser, or something that stays on all the time. You don't
Right.
want one of those. It needs to emulate a shot. And then you would want a camera or something to watch what you're shooting at so the software can detect it. And then from there, it can go down it would branch out into what their needs are, what they plan on using the software on, and things like that. And that's where we would direct them into what best fits them for software wise, because that will look different based on what software they would need.
So let me ask you this: if I had an iPhone, and it's something a
Mhm.
question we had with a lot of customers. If I have an iPhone today, what can I run off of this iPhone? Can I run both applications, or is just one or the other?
No, so with mobile devices, you would need LASR X, which is the web-based platform.
Okay.
The LASR Classic is strictly only for Windows computers, and I think we probably touched on that a little bit last week.
Right.
But anytime I hear someone that, hey, I really like my Apple stuff, that's immediately going to trigger me to, hey, we need to go with LASR X. The good thing about that is if you're wanting to use it on an iPhone or an iPad, you don't need to worry about buying an external camera. It'll use the onboard camera that's on that device itself. So then you would just need the software and something to shoot at, because the onboard camera is going to watch it, the software, and then your laser.
Okay, good deal. So next question that we have coming in is, do I need one of your cameras to run the software? That's a good point, coming off of the hardware question. Do I need to, I know on our website we sell a LASR Classic Advanced camera, and we also sell a LASR Advanced camera. Do they need to have those in order to use our software?
No, not necessarily. So by and large, most people will not need the advanced cameras. They're great, but I'm not about selling somebody something that they don't need to buy. So if they have just a standard SIRT pistol or cartridge insert, they can just use whatever cameras they have. When we start getting into the advanced sections, like the cameras, those are specifically meant for things like infrared lasers and recoil simulated devices. So if you don't have either of those, don't worry about it.
Okay. And then the LASR Classic Advanced camera only runs on which software?
The classic software, yeah. So if you think of it in this way, I mean, so when we design these cameras and the way we came out with them, the orange will go with classic. The orange camera, all orange, sticks with classic, and then the blue can be used with LASR X or LASR Classic. It can go across both, but orange, keep that strictly for classic.
Okay, that's a good cue. That's the color tells you what system to use for. Now, next question that's coming up is which version of the software is better? Sam, which of your kids do you like the most? Is that a way to put it? But I guess which version of the software is better is the question that's on the table right now.
Sure. And just so I answer the one record and people don't think I have favorites, I love all my kids equally but differently. So no, when it comes to the software, there's not really one that's better than the other. Some are going to have, different uses. It's like asking, do you like boots or tennis shoes better? You might prefer one over the other, but both protect your feet. It just depends on what you're doing. Like, I'm not going to go play baseball in boots generally. So yeah, it just kind of depends on what you're doing and how that software is going to tailor best to your needs as a trainer.
Right. And I think what we put up on the screen is on the website, we actually have a small section that under solutions, there's a section where you can go and compare. And it gives you an idea, because Sam's actually answering the question the right way. And it's, what do you want to do with the application? If you're going to do something with recoil, I mean, Sam even put together a video about which system to use if you're going to use recoil, and that's going to be LASR Classic. If you're going to do something where you want to do networking or you plan to move with multiple devices, that's going to be LASR X. So probably the best place to start is to go and understand how you want to use or how do you want to train, and then from there we can guide you in the right direction as to which application works best. Not so much which is better, but which works best for your situation or your training scenario. Okay. So let's see what the next question is here. Current operating systems for LASR X. Is that a trick question, Producer Kathy, or is that something that actually comes through on the customer support line, Sam?
No, it will. It'll come up. We do have customers like, well, can I use LASR X on my iPad, or can I use it on my Windows computer? And I think part of that is because LASR Classic came out and it was only for a specific platform. And so when you see that generally happen, you start to kind of go, okay, well, what about this one? Is this tailored to a specific operating system? The good thing about LASR X is that because it is web-based, it's not operating system specific. You just need to make sure, again, that your device isn't like really, really old. You might have sometimes you'll hear about, well, I've got this old iPad that's been laying around. Well, it's great. It's an iOS device. But that operating system is only at iOS version 9, and it can't go any higher. And LASR X starts at iOS 11 and then moves up from there. So if the operating system version can't reach what's generally recognized out there, then you're going to run into some problems. But it'll work on Android, Apple, Mac OS X, Windows, and I've even heard people, using Linux machines with it.
Sure. And I think that's the one thing to remember is because it's a web-based device, web-based application, your mileage is going to vary. I mean, as with any hardware device, if you use an old 386 computer, if it'll even run on that, LASR X might work, but it's going to struggle.
Right.
Whereas if you use the latest, Threadripper CPU with the hottest graphics card, it might not even break a sweat. But if you try to go cheap on your hardware because you think, well, it's just a web app, then you're going to notice, a deprecation in the performance of the application, and your experience and your training value will suffer as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next question is, how do I reinstall Classic on my new computer? I know that question has come up quite a bit.
Yeah, and that one does come up quite a bit. So there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can access the install file on our forums. You'll just need to create a website account. It's free, and then you can go into the forums and you'll be able to find the LASR Classic install file. The easier way to do it, I'll let you get that there.
Sure. We'll pull up the forum, and this is where people will typically go for LASR Classic. And I believe that question is how to recover license key. Actually, it can be covered with multiple things: a new LASR Classic installation file, or how you want to move it, or if you lost your license key, here's how you could recover it. But I think this is the one file that you're talking about, right, Sam?
Yes. So that's one way to do it. The other way, and this way I find a little bit easier, would be if you still have your email that you got your LASR license on. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's a live. You're actually right now, so that's why it happened.
Yeah. So if you still have your LASR license file with your original license key on it and stuff, there's still a download link in that. If not, you can always call us and we'll just find your license, and then we'll shoot you an email with that download link and license key. And I can show you that here. Yep. Let me see here. So if you can see right over in here, this is kind of what it looks like. It's going to have your license key and a download link, and then you can just click on the download link. I have to bring that up here. Whenever it decides it might take some time. My computer's probably chugging a little bit. Okay. But this will take you to our install page, where you just follow the steps and it'll download the software to your new computer. And then you can go back to that email, and when it prompts you for the license key, you just copy and paste this in there. The one thing important to remember is whenever you're copying and pasting license keys into your thing, into the prompt, you want to make sure that you're not getting any spaces before or after your license key, because it will see that as a character selection. So then it's not going to find it and give you an error code, and then you'll have a little bit of trouble there. But yeah, so it's really simple. You'll just go to this email, click the download button. It'll take you to our install page and walk you through those steps.
Okay. And what's the latest version they should look out for, Sam?
Yeah. So the latest version is 4.2.4.0 on LASR Classic.
Okay.
One thing we've been getting quite a few questions on is we've had to do some updates to our system over the last 5 or 6 months now. And so people will be seeing a piracy error message. Rest assured that no one's hacking your computer from that software. It's a check to make sure that you're still the owner of the software, that you still have license to it. But then once you install the new file or find that install link on the forums, that message will go away, and then it'll update, because that's usually the first question. If I get somebody that calls me and says, hey, I get an error message, the first thing I'm going to ask is, what version are you running? And you can find that when you open up the software, up in the top right hand corner, there's going to be a question mark, and you can just click on it and it will tell you what version you're running.
In fact, let's see if we could pull that up right now. Watch, mine will come up with that error here in a second if I'm not careful. So let me see if I can pull it up here. We can share that on the screen. And that is a common question, because we did do an upgrade to some of the application around Christmas time. And that was a case where people started calling in and saying, hey, I'm getting this error. Oops, that's the wrong one here. Stop sharing that one. Let me go back and see if I can find the right screen. Here we go. Otherwise, they'll get that endless loop. Let me see if I close this off and put on, let's try it one more time. The window for laser activated shot reporter. This should be the one. There we go. On this one, Sam, and you're saying where would they go to for this? To find out the latest version?
That question mark in the top right-hand corner up there.
Up here? Okay.
And then you'll see it right at the top left of that screen. It'll tell you what version number you're running.
Okay.
If you see anything other than 4.2.4.0, we need to get the newest one installed. Okay. And that doesn't mean that you need to uninstall your old version or anything like that. Just once you install the new version, it will take out whatever it doesn't need, and it will put back in what needs to be there.
Okay. So they just install it right on top of what they have there.
Yes.
Okay. Good to go. And let's see, do we have, okay, what is dynamic dry fire? Okay, let me answer that one, since I've thrown that around kind of casually with people. Well, if you notice in a lot of dry fire applications, or even the beginning of dry fire, Sam, you used it in the Army when you were, I'll say, a grunt or an infantryman. I used it in the Marine Corps when we first, picked up our service rifle. And, dry firing tends to be getting in the right shooting position, your sight picture, sight alignment, and you're aiming at a certain point on the wall. I mean, you and I joke around, right? We say it's a paint speck on the wall, a ding on the wall, or a light switch. That's essentially going through the machinations of what you would use to fire your weapon, whether it's a rifle or a pistol. But what dynamic dry fire does is it ups your training, because in a real life situation, you're not going to be standing there still having time to aim at a target or aim at a spot on the wall or aim at the bad guy if he's drawing on you. You're probably actually moving, trying to get to cover, if not cover, maybe some concealment. So the idea in dynamic dry fire is the dynamic portion is the movement. You're still getting your dry fire reps in, but now you're trying to simulate a real life situation where you're not standing out in the open. You're actually trying to get off the X and get some cover so that you can actually employ your weapon or get it into the fight and not become a standing target. Would that be a fair way to describe dry fire and dynamic dry fire, Sam?
Yeah, I think when you, like you said, I mean, dry fire is actually really simple, and to a lot of degrees, and I'll even admit it. Like before I started working here, dry fire, I did it, but I didn't know that that's what it was called. When it was, getting taken outside with the squad leader for hours and doing ready ups, you're like, oh my goodness, but that's all simple things. So there's a lot of dry fire that I think people, they go through either little bits of it or they will do it without necessarily even realizing it.
Right.
So when you add that dynamic component in there, that is that more movement, or hey, if you're, everybody can come up with different scenarios in their head. If I'm in a grocery store, then you have to duck down behind, an aisle and have to lean back out, like different things like that, where you're having movement, and there's a little bit more than just grabbing your gun and looking at the sights real quick and, okay, yep, I've got my sight, okay, I'm ready to carry for the day. Like, the normal kind of routine, and everybody has different ones of how they do that throughout the day, but doing, focused and and intentional movement for a specific purpose within Dryfire, I would say, yeah, would definitely add that dynamic feature.
And the idea is we don't want you running around ducking under cover without first understanding, firearm safety, trigger
Sure.
control, and sight picture sight alignment. We're not telling you go and start running all over the place and taking dry fire shots at the light switch on the wall. Get the fundamentals down. And also, dry fire doesn't replace live training. You want to get with a qualified instructor who knows what they're doing, how to instruct you, and how to correct some of those issues. And then as you advance in those techniques and tactics, now you want to get the movement in there, because the last thing you want to do, I think, Sam, as an infantryman, when you're out in the field, when the firefight starts breaking out or you start hearing shots, you don't want to stand there and start pointing and aiming your weapon. You're looking for cover.
Right. I mean, and that's, without going super in depth about, but that's the first thing they tell you. I mean, the minute you start hearing bullets flying, you better get down quick. That's the first thing you want to do, is get down, because what good are you if you've got bullets penetrating you,
Right.
But, and you're right. Yeah. It's never, ever meant to, we never advocate our software to replace live fire. We're very much about crawl, walk, run, get the fundamentals down. That's why you see that in our challenges within LASR X is, hey, there's fundamental drills that are just there to get your grip, get your sight alignment, get your stance ready, like get those things down, so that if you ever were in a situation where you needed it defensively, or even if you're a competition shooter, you don't have to intentionally think about, where do I put my feet? Is my hands in the right, are my hands in the right spot? Do I have a good sight picture? Those things all become very second nature, and muscle memory kicks in. So, yeah.
And I think one of the questions that producer Kathy threw up there was, what is advanced dry fire? And what I'm trying to draw is a difference between LASR X, which has the networking and dynamic movement,
Sure.
and LASR Classic. I'm calling that advanced dry fire because with LASR Classic, you can actually set up a second camera. So let's say you're working with an instructor and you have a question for them, and you want them to help you troubleshoot one of the issues that you're having. With advanced dry fire, you can actually have a shooter watch plug-in with a second camera watching you, as another camera is also recording your results on the target, so that if you have questions about, is it my grip, is it my stance, what am I doing wrong, you're actually able to look at that. And that's something that's unique to LASR Classic, is the advanced dry fire portion of shooter watch, where movement, or moving from room to room, the dynamic portion of it, is unique to LASR X. And that's kind of the difference we're trying to draw there. So I think we're probably down to the bottom half of the hour. Oh, do we sell on Amazon? Well, let me address that real quick. We had a couple of questions this week about, do we sell on Amazon? And the plain question is, we don't. So you might find our products on Amazon from time to time, but LASR or LASR app, we don't sell directly on Amazon. We do have resellers that do, but if you find our application or software on Amazon, take a good look at it. If it's legitimate, then it's legitimate. But we ourselves don't sell directly on Amazon. We sell through our website, which is laserapp.com. So that's the one. So coming up, I guess, we'll end it here for this week. Everybody wants to start the Friday, but part of the stuff we mentioned, working with instructors, in the next few episodes we'll probably do, or next few sessions we'll have, is a case where, someone's pushing me off, a case where we'll have some instructors showcasing some of their actual drills that they probably do with their students, or that they would recommend as kind of a dry fire practice, so that as we bring these instructors on, they're familiar with dry fire. If you want to follow along and incorporate those in your repertoire, that's perfect. So that's what we'll be doing in future episodes. And we'll start answering more and more advanced questions, as opposed to the same questions that we've been doing for the last few weeks. And I think what I want to remind you, and I think that's what Kathy was telling us, is want to remind you that we are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube as LASR App. So if you're wanting to ask questions during the live stream, we definitely can do that. You just fire some questions on the chat, but you can also catch restreams there as well. And then we're also on the other platform called Truth Social. We're there as LASR, so our name is a little different on Truth Social. But those are the main platforms we're on. So what I want to do is, Sam, any other questions or concerns, or producer Kathy, anything that we need to hit on?
I got nothing.
Okay, you're ready to start the weekend. So if not, we hope everybody has a good time on the range. Looks like here in Texas we're having good weather. Sam, you in good weather in Nebraska?
Yeah, I mean, the sun has finally decided to show itself, and I'm sure it will go away now.
Oh,
I
that's
said
what they call
you
that light ball in the sky, the sun. Is that what it is?
Yeah, we used to always call it Bob, and then it was don't talk about Bob, because then Bob's going to get shy and run away again.
Okay. Well, good deal. Well, folks, we'll be again on here. We'll be here again next week, same time for the 30 minutes. As we start bringing people on board, we'll probably expand it just a bit more. But until we see you guys again, be safe. And we would tell you typically to what, Sam?
Train safe, train smart, and train
Train
often.
often. All right. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
All right, bye, everybody.